Welcome everyone to the Scientist Reverse Grid League Season 4, Race 5 in the Einstein League here in Australia. We tried to do it a few minutes ago, but the game didn't have the right grid on, so we restarted the lobby. And bad news is, for most of the guys, that it's no longer dry and sunny around here, but it's raining, so very tricky for everyone who had a good start at the race before. So now everyone has to be even more careful not to spin, bin or crash into another car, because in the rain it's absolutely bloody horrible. And we will have a formation lap here like we always have. As you can see, also be starting in P1, Instant Racer P2, Jaden P3, followed by GMAC, Moshe, Dibizzle, Casto, Dicunia, Chestapin, Corleone, Your Eskimo, Duradan, and our new guy, Virgil Tunnel 94. He joined the league just a few days ago and he's already in his car in the Alfa Romeo in his first race here at Australia in the Scientist Race Grid League. So welcome, Virgil Tunnel. Very nice to see you here, very nice to see all the spectators again, only in numbers, but it's as good as it comes. Thank you very much for tuning in. Hopefully we'll have, besides the shit that was going on earlier, a very smooth night, and as you can see we have Instant Racer who spun, is in the wall, and disqualified from the session. That means his tires will be cold at the start. He's in P2, so almost everything to lose from that position. Very, very tricky for him. As Walterby is now out of the chicane of death on his formation lap. And as always, of course, we will have a few details here for you. Of course, telemetry, so you can see how much DRS is left on each car, lap data, and of course the whole track map, so you can follow your favorite driver on track. We'll also switch between position changes, pit stops, and of course the tire selection and the penalties, so you have a better overview of everything that is going on. And as we can see, Walterby and GMAC had a very fast opening formation lap, while Jaden and Dicunia are just on the pit straight. Hopefully these tires won't be that cold until the race starts. Everyone is forming up now. As you can see in the rain, everyone is starting on intermediates, not on full wets. So let's see if the weather changes during the race. We have 15 laps to go. If it doesn't, we will stay in inters, maybe go to full wets. Let's have it right now. We're watching the 4-5 red lights, and as usual, the race start is a little bit delayed. Down to Codemasters decision to delay everything. And we already have a jump start of Virgil Tunnel, and that results in the drive-through, and we have Instant Racer in the wall already. The wing is completely gone. We're switching back to the lead. Walterby with a good start, staying in P1. Jaden P2, GMAC P3. Dibizzle, Dicunia making up some places. Let's see what happened here. Oh, we have a few collisions here between Dibizzle, GMAC and Jaden. They're touching each other. There must have been some damage around here, because they've been touching all over. That's not good, but as you can see, Casto with a very good start, coming from P7 up to P3 already. Both Alpines in P1 and P2 right now, and Casto in P3. Let's see how the wing of GMAC looks. It looks quite okay. No damage there. So let's see what happens here at the back. I think Jaden was involved in the incident. Let's see if he has damage to his car. It seems like the wing is fine. So for now everything is good here. No safety car, no virtual safety car for the incident of instant race at the start, where he crashed into the wall and lost his whole front wing. Fragile tunnel up to P12, of course. He has the drive-through penalty after his jump start. Dorada in P13 and instant race of damage. In P14 he has to pit. He won't finish the race with a damaged wing as D'Cunha is overtaking Jaden, who's gone into the pits. So Jaden must have had damage from that incident that we saw in turn 3, I think it was, where no, it was D-Bizzle, was the McLaren D-Bizzle, with these 3 cars collided a little bit as Moshe is going for the overtake against D-Bizzle on the outside. D-Bizzle leaving enough space. As you can see, a little bit of lag here involved, but that's quite normal to say the least. And Moshe overtook Bizzle here on the outside. Very, very good overtake by him. Staying on track. There's an overtake in the rain. As you know, on a wet track it's very, very difficult. You don't have DRS. You only have DRS, but you can't use it as much as you want, otherwise you lose traction, and as a result you lose your car. But the biggest winner of the start right now is Corleone, who jumped 5 positions from P10 up to P5, D'Cunha 4, Castor also 4 positions. So the 3 winners of the start are within the top 5 already. A few gaps, as you can see here already, between P1 and P2, gap of almost 3 seconds. Casto has closed the gap to GMAC. Maybe GMAC has some damage to his wing, which we can't see right now, but maybe it's there because he's losing a few tenths against Wolfby just in that last sector. So let's see where we go from here. D'Cunha has a gap of almost 4 seconds to Casto, to P3, Corleone 2 to D'Cunha, as you can see, and Verstappen is also in the pits. Let's see if he also has to change his wing. It seems like, yeah, there's also a wing change. Fresh tyres, of course, for him, but at the end of the race, there shouldn't be a huge factor. Jaden, with his recovery drive now around 20 seconds behind Eskimo, up to P10. Fragile tunnel already to this drive-through. That means he's up to P11 right now. As you can see, Dorada on the pit straight. Maybe coming close to Verstappen. Nope, still a few seconds between both of them. So Verstappen re-entering the track and both into racer. Still lost, but his wing is completely fresh now. Let's see what he can do. Down from P14 as Wolterby is still in the lead, and we have an orange car causing yellow flags. It's D-Bizzle, who's on the grass. Maybe has missed the corner, maybe lost the car. Down to P9. Let's watch his wing. It looks good. Maybe he just left the track and had some problems on the grass to get his car back on track. It's very, very tricky around here with the grass and gravel to re-enter the track safely and quick. So that means D-Bizzle down in P9. Big gap to P8 now, and also big gap to Jaden in P10. And as you've seen with all the guys who already had to pit or went through the grass, you lose a lot of time when you lose your car on this track, at least 10 seconds. So every loss of the car means almost 1 to 2 or 3 position changes. Jaden with the fastest lap now on fresh tyres and of course clean air. Let's see what he can do from P10 here. Only 6.5 behind Bizzle, just closing that gap rapidly. And at the front we still have Wolterby, followed by GMAC and Castor, who's still within 1 second behind GMAC, trying to extend his championship lead. His teammate Verstappen down in P12 after the change of the front wing, so he can't help him in the constructors race here. Alpine doing a very good job in P1 and P2 right now, but also Aston Martin with a very good job. D'Cunha P4, Eskimo up to P7, who must have overtaken Yor on that last lap because he was in P8 earlier. It's a good job by Eskimo, and we have again yellow flags, and it's just Chapman who's out of the race. We DNF'd here. Let's see if we can see his car. No, we can't see it, and the crash results in a safety car that will come out now. So now it's a very, very interesting part of the race. It's lap 5 of 15. 1/3 is done. Let's see if people try to pit to maybe get a new wing, or just to change tires and have a fresh set of them to finish the last maybe 8 laps. As soon as the safety car is back into the pits, have fresh tires for 8 laps and attack everyone, because the field will be bunched up together behind the safety car. So if you want to have an advantage, you can pit, but of course very tricky to see if one of the leaders is pitting. Walterby right now is not pitting. Junior Castle didn't pit either, but let's see what they are doing. We can see that D Bizzle and Fragile Tomo pitted. So let's see what happens here in the next few seconds behind that safety car. And right now it says lap 5 of 15. It said lap 5 1 lap ago on my screen, so very sorry if there was a mistake in it. But it's Friday the 13th, so anything's possible today. And now we keep a closer look at Walterby, who's not pitting. His teammate G-Mac is also staying out, but Casto takes the chance and is pitting right now. D'Cunha P4 is staying out. He's deciding to go for track position. As Corleone behind him is going into the pits. Moshe also staying out. Let's see what Eskimo's doing. He's also doesn't know what he wants to do, but it seems like he's pitting. Yeah, no, it's no way to turn around. He's pitting. Jaden behind him in P9. He doesn't have to pit because he got fresh tires just 2 laps ago. Bad thing for Yor is he got a 5-second penalty as he entered the pit lane. So that means that Jaden makes up a lot of positions here, up to P8. Has fresh inters, and we can have a look at the tire situation right now. Everyone who hasn't pitted, of course, on 5-lap old inters. So Jaden pitted on the first lap. Excuse me, I said 2 laps ago. He pitted 4 laps ago, and Duradan has 3-lap old tires like Instant Racer has, and everyone else is now on fresh inters. The first one on fresh ones is Casto in P6, so he's the guy to watch when it comes to recovering positions on the first few laps, or maybe on the last few laps. Let's see where the tires will go at the end of the race. Unfortunately, we don't have a calculation which says how many laps you can go on inters in a 25% race. But the good thing is, we will see it live. We don't need some theoretical bullshit for that. You can see that here. That's the best thing for this thing to do. As Jaden is now back, bunched up with the field. Next one behind him is Yor, 18 seconds behind. He's closing the gap now. But the safety car will stay out for another lap, of course, so the field can bunch up. And let's see if anyone behind the safety car now decides to pit. We've seen some strange strategies over the last few years, but no one is pitting right now. Everyone is deciding to go for track position. I think Jaden could have had a chance to pit again with the gap to Yor and Duradan, but if he's confident in his tires and his driving style, fair play, he can make the work even better for him. Let's take a closer look at the penalty situation. We have Yor with 5 seconds after speeding in the pit lane, and D Bizzle with 3 for extending the track limits or corner cutting. Everyone else is penalty free right now. We can also take a look at position changes. D'Cunha now the one who made up 5 positions. Eskimo made up 7 positions by staying out and not pitting. Jaden lost 5, but we have to say he lost around 9 to 10 positions and regained 3 to 4 now behind the safety car. Instant Racer starting in P2 with a huge crash at the beginning of the race. Just regained 2 to 3 positions, so that means he's 11 right now. But he has, yeah, his tires are not that fresh, 5 lap old, but we'll see what he can do with this setup. Safety car will come in this lap. That means Fragile Tunnel and Deagles will have to hurry up to get closer to the pack. I think Fragile Tunnel has the best chances to get close to the pack right now, as he's only a few seconds behind, and D-Bizzle has to get some pace on and hope for the leaders to get a very piano pace to close the gap. Could be a thing of a few seconds if he's there or not. We're switching back to the leader of the race, who's very close behind the safety car. That means we will take that corner very, very slow, and a good chance for D-Bizzle to close the gap. But Walterby is now going, and we have a few penalties, as you can see. Fragile Tunnel 5 seconds with Instant Racer, and a few other guys with penalties right now, as Walterby restarts the race behind the safety car, still in P1. No changes behind, but we already have yellow flags, and it's Yor who's out of that race. Yor is out of the race. We keep a look at this here. Oh, Corleone and Yor maybe collided. Corleone in P12 now. Damage to his wing, as we can see. So there must have been a collision, which results in a DF for Yor and massive damage for Corleone. But right now, we can't see another safety car. It's just yellow flags in Sector 1. And Walterby already has a gap of 1.5 seconds to G-Mac, who himself has a gap of 1.5 to Vicuña. Moshe very close behind, only half a second. Everyone else bunched up together. Jaden is very close behind Eskimo. He made up a position. He's up to P7, maybe after the Corleone and Yor incident gained that position. And let's see how the last 8 laps will go here at Australia, with Walterby and G-Max still in P1 and P2, both Alpines dominating that race. And as you can see, Castor only in P5. No, not only, my mistake. And Moshe also did a mistake here, as you can see. Castor was in P6 and gained a position because he was the only one who pitted. Moshe down to P5 now because of his mistake. Eskimo very close behind him. Jaden close behind Eskimo. So let's see what happens here. Instant Race and Durham very, very close together too. So let's see if someone goes for an overtake here. Instant Race is using this ERS, going side by side, locking up, but still making the corner on the inside, leaving enough space on the outside. A very good move by Instant Race, up to P8 for him. Jaden still in P7, Eskimo P6, and Casto from P6 up to P4 now. He's the one on fresh intermediates, so he probably has the best pace around here. Corleone in the pits, of course, changing his wing after the collision with Yor. And Instant Race and Fragile Tunnel each with 5 seconds of penalties. Oh, we have a crash! We have a massive crash! It's G-Mac who hit the wall out of the chicane of death and lost his whole front wing, and lost also P2 and is now down to P10, and he has to pit. Horrible scenario for G-Mac, but that's the tricky thing around here. Even when it's dry, the chicane of death is absolutely bloody horrible, and in the wet it's even worse. That means everyone is gaining a position, including Castro, who's now in P3, Got Acuna in front of him in P2 and has some massive pace. Walter B now has a gap of 4.3 to Acuna P2. So let's see if Castro can make something work here against Acuna, both with very good pace around here. But the advantage clearly is on Castro's side as his tyres are 5 laps fresher. Could be a game of nutrition between these two. But we will see what happens here. And instant racing with a 3-second time penalty now. Let's see, we have close battles on track. We have D-Bizzle very close behind Durham, attacking P7 here. Very close now behind Durham. Using his ERS, going on the inside. He's a brave motherfucker. And he made the move work. Of course, Durham left him enough space and kind of let him do that, but that's very good to see that people give each other enough space and don't go for broke. It's very good to see. That means D-Bizzle up to P7 in his McLaren on his road to recovery. Jaden overtook Eskimo in the meantime. He's in P5 and very close behind Moshe. Touching the rear end of Moshe using his ERS, but Moshe also using both on around 90%. But Jaden going on the inside, outbraking Moshe now on the inside. Cutting a little bit of that curve but making the move stick. That means he's up to P4 now. Moshe P5 in his Ferrari. And Casto still behind Acuna within 1 second, but of course DRS in these conditions not allowed. That means Casto has to use all of his skill to overtake Acuna, and Acuna has to use his skill to defend P2 from Casto, which he's doing right now for the last few laps. But of course, one mistake can change everything around here. And D-Bizzle now very close behind Eskimo, trying to attack him the same place he did attack Duradon. He's backing off. He had to. An instant racer overtook Duradon into the chicane of theft, which is very, very brave. D-Bizzle trying to attack Eskimo on the outside here. Eskimo leading the corner on the inside. 3-second time penalty for Corleone, who also set the fastest lap a few seconds ago. Eskimo defended the corner. D-Bizzle ran to the back of Eskimo again, causing Eskimo to spin but backing off to not gain the position against Eskimo. But D-Bizzle has to be a little bit more careful here. I understand that he's impatient and he has to pace, but you have to be very, very careful with an overtake in the wet, especially around Australia. And Castro is now only 0.4 of a second behind Acuna, who gained a 3-second time penalty in the meantime, which means Castro is in a safe P2 right now. But you never know what happens with mistakes and bins. As we're talking about, D-Bizzle DNFs from the race. Let's see what happened to him. And we have a safety car. He'd been there out of turn 3 or 4 it was, into the wall, losing his tire, out of the race. And we have another safety car on lap 12 of 15. That's something new to me, that we have a safety car at the end of a race. That's not so good for everyone with penalties right now, naming Acuna, Instant Racer, Fragitano and Corleone. But let's see who has the freshest tires right now. And it is G-Mac and Corleone, who both pitted on the last few laps. So maybe they can make something work here. Instant Racer get a 3-second time penalty. Another one behind the safety car. That's tricky. And Corleone with a drive-through for ignoring the delta on the safety car. That's very unfortunate, to say the least. That's very unfortunate. To get a penalty on the safety car is tricky, but to get a drive-through behind the safety car on the last few laps is questionable. Yeah, but it is what it is. The good thing is for Castro and Ticunia that the gap of around 5 seconds is now completely melted down to just a few tenths. And even behind the safety car, you have to be very, very careful not to bin it, because you're in the lower gears. Your tires go down in temperature. That means traction goes down, and if you go onto the throttle a little bit too harsh, your car is gone behind the safety car, and that's the last thing you want here. We've seen it with Grosjean and Baku. We've seen it with George Russell at Imola, I think, last year. And you don't want that. You absolutely don't want that, especially not when you're in the lead or within the top 3 or top 5. So I'll leave you alone for around half a lap of the pictures you see here. As the safety car will come in also. Seen the safety car will come in on this lap. Walterby still leading the race, but he can't overtake the safety car here. Or maybe he can. The game allowed him to overtake the safety car, so very good strategy from Walterby, who's now 1.6 in front of Ticunia, and Castro very close behind him, attacking P2 right now. Has more traction out of that corner, but seems like Ticunia is making everything work here to stay in P2, and he's doing it. And we have yellow flags again in sector 3. That must be Corleone, who DNF'd from the race. Corleone out of the race from P11. He DNF'd as Castro almost lost his car. What a save! Oh my god, that heart rate is completely up right now. That's what I was talking about a few laps ago. One mistake in these conditions can cost you everything. And we've been talking about Jaden at the beginning of the race. After his pit stop, he recovered beautifully up to P4. Moshe, after his little ride through the grass, also recovered up to P5. Eskimo P6. And Durlan is out of the race. He's a victim of the chicane of death, as he has ended up in the wall. Yellow flags, no safety car right now. That means we are only down to 9 runners right now, as Walterby is crossing the pit line. No, that's completely wrong. The pit straight for his final lap here at Australia. Ticunia still in P2, Castle P3. And Jaden right behind in P4. And right now it seems like Ticunia is losing 2 positions from P2 to P4. But we don't want to jinx anything here and just let these boys race. As Instant Racer is attacking Eskimo. Eskimo sticking to the inside line, making Instant Racer going over the curbs. Oh, Eskimo fighting for that position. But he doesn't have to, as Instant Racer got 11 seconds of penalties, but good heart by Eskimo to defend his position, to go for it. But as I say, he doesn't have to. He can just stay behind Instant Racer and gain P6 back. G-Mac behind in P8 with a 3-second time penalty. But we're switching back to the front. Ticunia, Castro and Jaden still fighting for P2 and P3. Walterby safe in P1 right now, as he's entering the last sector. And we have yellow flags in sector 3. I think it's G-Mac in his Alpine who lost it. and Walter B on the last corner right now, crossing the finish line to win a wet race around Australia in the Einstein League, race 5. Walter B also with the fastest lap, Ticunia going down to P4 on penalties, Casto finishing P2, Jaden P3, Moshe in P5, Eskimo P6, Instant Racer P7 right now, and he needs to push as Fragile Tunnel's only 4.8 behind, but it seems like it's enough for P8. Fragile Tunnel's crossing the line right now on his debut, finishing in P9. Good race by him, stayed calm in the rain. Had his pit stop of course, but who hasn't? So Eskimo getting the driver of the day from Codemasters, and as you know, you are able to vote for your driver of the day on Discord in our driver of the day voting. So you can vote of course for Eskimo, but you're also free to vote for anyone else who impressed you here around Australia. Maybe Casto, maybe Jade, maybe Walter B with the clean race, maybe our new guy Fragile Tunnel in just keeping it everything on track and finishing in P9. Maybe Moshe, who had a difficult race but finished in P5. So many names who deserve to get it, as Jaden had a beautiful recovery from P11 I think it was to P3. That means our race winner and fastest lap goes to Walter B in P1, Casto finishing P2, Jaden P3, Ticunia missing out on the podium because of his penalty in P4, Moshe P5, Eskimo P6, Instant Racer P7, GMAC P8, Fragile Tunnel the last finisher around here in P9, Durdan DNF from the race, as did Corleone, D-Bizzle, Yor and Verstappen. So that means we're done with Australia and the rain, and our next race will be at Abu Dhabi. So the stream will end right here and will continue in 5 to 10 minutes when we enter Abu Dhabi for a second race of the night in the Einstein League. See you in a few minutes, boys. Stay clean.